Good morning. It's Friday, January 28th, and today I want to discuss with you the topic of colonoscopy and the importance of shit. Now, what we have to understand is that the colonoscopy is very important for our health. Now, I'm sure many of you have had a colonoscopy, but just to remind you, it's an exam used to detect changes or abnormalities in the large intestine, which is the colon, and the rectum. And during a colonoscopy, a long, flexible tube, the colonoscope, is inserted into the rectum. And a tiny video camera at the tip of the tube allows the doctor to view inside the entire colon. And it's a very uncomfortable procedure, and most of us have to have it after the age of 50 every couple of years, and it's really looking for cancer and some other things that could cause us a serious problem. So I think there are very few of us that avoid colonoscopies. And I want to talk now about a new procedure that's being developed in a small country in the Middle East, Israel. Israel has realized that maybe we don't need colonoscopies. Maybe there's another way around it. Maybe there's another way to detect any serious illnesses that's going on in the intestine. And they have found a way to do that. And they have taken many years to find this thing. And it's the shit. It's our feces that are the key to eliminating colonoscopies. So thanks to the research that Israel is doing, the colonoscopy may become a thing of the past, at least for detecting inflammatory bowel diseases such as Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. But it goes beyond that, because they believe that they can figure out how to find out about many cancers. So how did this little country in the Middle East figure out what to do about eliminating the colonoscopy? They started realizing that the cells of the feces stay alive for several hours after you have defecated. This led to a method that could provide testing for information that is less invasive and much cheaper, and at least as reliable. So the researchers started analyzing the shells collected in your shit. They did it first with 30 patients with inflammatory bowel disease. In simple words, they used the RNA, which is a molecule similar to DNA, and it's a name that I cannot properly pronounce, so I'm not going to bother trying. They determined that through the RNA, they found samples of 4 immune-related cell types associated with inflammation. So that meant that in the future, if you were having some kind of problem, they could examine your shit, and if they found these immune-related cell types, they would know that you had something going on in your system, and then they could proceed further. So this would eliminate the colonoscopy for many of the internal intestinal diseases that would threaten your health, right? So these signatures, which is the imprint of the immune-related cell types, they revealed the exact proportion of the disease within your gut. And it enabled the scientists to determine whether the person had an active case of intestinal inflammation. Now the fecal, that's another word for shit, Fecal samples prove to be more reliable than biopsies, because a biopsy can miss an inflammation because it provides a snapshot of a narrow spot in your gut. The biopsy is not taking into account the entire gut. But when you shit, you get a view of your entire gut. Another thing we have to consider is that the human eye is not always perfect, and it may miss this indication of the inflammation in the bowel or something like that. But the scientific research that is looking for the cells, the RNAs, will not miss it. So for those of us who are well past the age of needing colonoscopies, it may not help us, but future generations will not have to go through the agony of a colonoscopy. And I ask you, why a country like Israel is able to come up with a solution to something that's very uncomfortable for the human race? Why are they able to find these wonderful things that they find? And one could say, well, they're always messing around with shit. But never mind that. They look beyond. Somehow or other they have the ability to look beyond what's going on and look at every possible angle to figure out how to help the human race. So that's my story for today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And don't think about having a colonoscopy or anything like that. That could be a very upsetting experience. Bye.